Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Paodcast, presented by the Daily Pao.
This is Pranuti.
Amit.
And Purva. And we're from the dailypao.com, a city-specific food and culture website. And this is our weekly podcast, the Paodcast. Now, in this episode, we're going to be talking about new movie experiences and newish cinemas. And this is an installment of The Scene in which we talk about culture in the city. So stay tuned for The Scene.
The Scene.
So in this episode, we're going to be talking about new movie experiences such as Stepping Out and
the Sunset Cinema Club.
Yeah.
That's right, as well as old theatres that have been revamped. Mm-hmm. So Amit, you want to talk about Stepping Out since you wrote about it?
I wrote about them. I haven't been for either of them, but suddenly the city has discovered outdoor film screenings because two of them have popped up. There's something called Steppin' Out Movie Nights, which is actually from Bangalore. It's this Bangalore-based event company called Stepping Out, which started Steppin' Out Movie Nights. They started them in Hyderabad some time ago, and they brought them to Bombay recently. They brought them last month at the Novotel by the poolside. And they screened Pulp Fiction, which was apparently decided by a vote, because they put up a vote on their Facebook page asking people for movies they wanted to see, and this is what they voted for.
That's kind of boring, though. I feel.
Yeah, but then,
because how many times can you watch Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, but their logic was that basically people want to see movies that they don't get to see on TV very often, and because Pulp Fiction is so highly censored, you don't really get to see it much on TV. That was their logic. But we'll come to their next screening, and they'll tell you that maybe, like you said, they're not being very imaginative with their selection. And there's also something called the Sunset Cinema Club, which is from Delhi that has come to Bombay.
Yeah, so basically it's the company actually operates in both Delhi and Bombay.
Okay.
And there are two partners who live in one in Delhi, one in Bombay. And they started in Delhi because Delhi has the space. And now in Bombay, they're actually hosting their first screening at Raspberry Rhinoceros, which is also in Juhu. It's very close to Novotel, in fact.
Yeah.
And Raspberry has this this beachfront lawn. So they're using that. And I think it's a really good location for movie screening. I think it's a great idea as well. The movies they're screening are Pretty Woman, Usual Suspects, and Kill Bill. So there's a movie a day. So Sunset Cinema Club is calling the festival Movies and Chill. They've co-organized it with this other sort of events company called Drinks on Me. It's going to take place on the April 21st weekend, and they're selling tickets on Insider, so you can actually go for that. Like I said, the movies are not great. Like Pretty Woman is shown on TV all the time, but
it is the experience of being in the open.
It is the experience, and
Exactly.
they also conducted a poll on their Facebook page, and they tend to choose cult films is what they said. So when they hosted it in Delhi, they had screened Pulp Fiction.
Which I don't think is a cult film at all. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a pretty
a lot
popular film. I don't know why they call it a cult film.
I guess anything Tarantino makes is considered
a cult film.
Cult. But I do want to check out Movies and Chill or even Steppin' Out because I think just the venue, right? It's so nice to just have somewhere outside.
Yeah,
to
and
be
I mean,
in.
Juhu Beach being the obvious beach side location in the city.
Yeah.
But speaking of Steppin' Out, now Steppin' Out's next screening, they plan to do them once a month here, and the next one's actually happening on April 30th. And they put up movies to, it's a Facebook poll. I think this is a one-time thing because they're calling it the Romedy Now edition. Now, Romedy Now is a television channel that screens only romantic comedies. So, expectedly, the selection of movies is what you can sort of expect. And we were just talking about how they initially said, these are movies that you don't see on TV. And, ironically, they've tied up with a movie channel. And the choices are The Proposal, Pretty Woman Again, Crazy Stupid Love, 50 First Dates, When Harry Met Sally, Breakfast at Tiffany's, The Notebook, The Ugly Truth, Silver Linings Playbook, and Hitch. Now, these are all very
I'd vote for
commonly...
Hitch. I watch it every alternate day. It's on Romedy every alternate day.
Exactly. So
the
then
way.
I don't understand the logic of having to sort of, watch this.
Yeah, but I suppose the film itself is secondary. It's just, people are going to like being out there. And
Yeah. And, talking about the film being secondary, I think that the whole idea nowadays of going to watch a movie there's so much sort of the ancillary stuff that happens around it. I think that all these newish cinemas that have been renovated, I think it's really, it's becoming less and less about the movie experience than it is about watching the movie than it is about just going there and, doing like ordering fancy food and being in a nice fancy theater.
That's true, but as far as these renovated cinemas are concerned, I suppose it's one way of drawing audiences, because I think everywhere, and this is not just an Indian phenomenon, movie-going audiences are falling.
Mm-hmm.
How do you lure the visitor? And one way of doing that is I'm not sure it works.
Yeah,
I'm not sure it works,
that's-
but I suppose this is something that they're trying. Like Inox, for example, has completely, the one at Nariman Point, which is a flagship one, has completely been renovated.
Yeah, and you watch all the Bollywood movies there.
I do, because I go for the first day first show, and Inox has a 9 a.m. show that I often go for. And I have to say that, it was fancy to begin with.
Yeah.
It was a pretty fancy theatre.
So did it need that refurbishment?
No, it didn't need it. It didn't need it at all. But I suppose they wanted to reinvent themselves. And it's not as if the ticket prices have changed drastically. One bracket has, it's called the Insignia. And those tickets are pretty pricey. It depends on the film, but some tickets are for 800 rupees.
That's ridiculous.
Which is, really ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what I do like about the new Inox is the theatre itself. It's more comfortable than it was, if that's even possible. The layout is nicer. So I like what they've done to the theatre itself. The outside, it really doesn't make a difference to me. And Inox has also taken over Metro.
And apparently the plan is to make that a cinema and shopping center.
Complex.
Right.
I really hope they don't do that, because Metro, even though when they redid it, it actually still retains some of its earlier character, right? It was
Right,
this Art
the
Deco
foyer,
cinema.
which has those chandeliers.
Yeah, exactly.
But as of now, it hasn't been touched at all. What has changed at Metro is that the food stalls that are in Inox at Nariman Point are also at Metro.
Okay.
So I was very partial towards the bhel counter. And I would always eat bhel for breakfast when I was watching an early morning show. And so now there's a bhel guy at Metro, and they didn't have a bhel counter before.
So you're
And,
happy about that?
I'm happy about that. And as well as they have a cookie counter,
How much do you
Swedish
pay
House
for-
Mafia.
How much do you pay for bhel?
I pay $120 for bhel.
Oh
Wow.
my God.
So talking about the food, apparently Vicky Ratnani, celebrity chef, has done an all vegetarian menu for all Inox cinemas
Yeah, and
now.
it's a gourmet menu, but I haven't tried it, because if you want to try it, I suppose you'd have to buy an Insignia ticket, which is
So
an
it's
$800 ticket.
exclusive only for Insignia customers.
Yes,
Okay.
that food is definitely not available on the counters. You have to order it specifically.
Well, I've also read that now the food can, these fancy meals, an article said that the prices can vary from 150 to 1800 rupees. What
Yeah.
are you eating in the theatre? And are people actually, I would be curious to know if people are actually opting for something that lavish. Maybe if you're out on a date and you want to impress someone,
But
and that,
you know what particularly irks me about this whole idea is that you're encouraging people to order food while watching a movie, and that really sort of annoys me when I'm watching a movie and that guy will come and he'll sort of walk down the aisle, because obviously how else is he going to deliver the food? And it's disturbing. It disturbs the whole movie watching process. And this guy, and quite often they're sort of looking around to find these people, so they'll come and talk to you and say, hey, by the way, are you seat number
Though to be
whatever?
sure, if it's an Insignia show, I'm guessing there'd be very few people, because how many people want to pay so much for a movie?
It's become the average spend for any film anyway. A ticket and popcorn included, I end up spending close to 700 or 750
Yeah, but
bucks
this is
anyway.
$800 just to watch.
You
And
know,
is
so I
that, but I think for every major release, every major Bollywood release, I think they sort of up the tickets, right? They do that. It's not just if you went for a sort of low budget movie or indie movie or something like that, it perhaps wouldn't be that expensive, but
Well, the other cinema that's been renovated is La Rev, which was formerly Globus.
Yeah. This
And
I have been to.
Both of
I
you
have
have
been
been
to.
to
Yes. And,
La Rev.
Yeah, and thing that I you want to talk about a little bit about the decor
Yeah.
La Rev, because I think it's pretty much they've changed the exterior of it, but the interior of it is pretty much the same. It used to be
seats are slightly
Globus.
more plush, yeah.
It used to be Globus, and Globus it's not an amphitheater, so it's one of those weird sort of theaters where it's like the stalls of what the single
and
screen
it was
cinemas
taken
used to be.
over in 2015 by SPI Cinemas, which is a chain from
Chennai.
Madras to
Yeah.
Chennai.
Yeah.
And it reopened with Mami in 2016. And the big deal, supposedly, about the cinema was its French-inspired interior.
Which
It's
basically
actually
means just
quite
white
silly.
and lots of rose petal
Roses,
walls.
Yeah. So there are, I don't know what the fabric is, but like instead of walls, you just have like this whole. It just looks like this dense cluster of roses on the walls, and it just looks like a set out of American Beauty, like I was telling you all earlier. And I went for Beauty and the Beast recently, and rose is a recurring symbol in that. And I'm like,
Right.
oh my god, I'm part of the set of this film. You know,
Yeah.
it's a bit ridiculous. And the outside is all marble. It's all white and black marble. It's like predominantly white, and I'm like, okay, you know, but I had no problem coming to Globus.
Yeah, I
either,
mean, it looks pretty
you know.
plush. And I think also they've increased the food prices because
Yeah, the ticket prices are
ticket
just
prices
marginally.
I don't think are much higher.
marginally
But the
increased,
food, I
but-
remember I was going back to Globus after years. I mean,
Yeah.
La Rev,
The
and I
popcorn
did
will set
find
you back 160.
Yeah, that.
But
the
what's
food
really
was
funny,
more
though,
expensive.
is that they made a big deal about having a French chef
Yeah.
design the menu.
He does. He consults with them.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
But then you get standard
Well,
cinema
you-
menu.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I did a post on this when it
Right.
opened, and I spoke to them, and I asked them what French-inspired things would be on the menu, and they said you'll get chicken puff and veg puff, which is what you get everywhere
Oh,
in
man.
any case.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
there's
pretty
nothing
funny.
French about the popcorn either. Apparently, they have like this. Not apparently, I've seen it.
There's
they
no
have this.
truffle
There is, I think.
flavored
They
Is
have
that
popcorn.
no. They have like the seasoning machine, which they got
yeah.
from Nebraska. And I'm like, is it not available in any other part of the world that you gotta get from freaking Nebraska? And you know, the kids trip out on this because you can put like whatever a little more. I don't know what the powders are because they were crowding it during Beauty and the Beast, but I'm guessing you can put a little bit of extra cheese powder or I don't know,
Caramel
something sweet on the
and
caramel
chili
and
or whatever.
you know.
But
So
why?
and I'm
How
like,
do
what
you
is
know
the
it
big
from
deal about
Nebraska?
this? Oh, I read it in that article.
And you also wrote about New Excelsior, which has now become Mukta Arts. Something.
So Mukta Arts, which is, as we all know, Subhash Ghai's movie production company, it has a cinema-owning arm called Mukta A2.
Okay.
So Mukta A2 bought New Excelsior from a man called Vidhani, Mr. Vidhani RV, who's a pretty big exhibitor.
Okay.
And he had been running New Excelsior since 1975. That's the year it was established. So Mukta has taken it over, and they've changed the interior. It's still a single screen cinema, but they've changed the interior, so it's pretty plush. What's really funny though is the programming,
Yeah.
because
They mentioned that it's supposed to be-
they opened with a screening of in February with a screening of Ram Lakhan, which was
That was
Subhash
because I think he
Ghai's
was
film.
celebrating 27 years
Exactly.
of Ram
But
Lakhan.
what's really funny is that now this New Excelsior is screening all of Ghai's films.
And they're calling it vintage cinema.
Yeah. So for example,
Classics revisited.
you can watch Tal on the big screen.
Well, that's a great film, actually. It
Which
was
is
one of
not
my
even like,
favorites.
again, this is a movie
It
I'm
has great
presuming that they
music.
show on TV fairly often.
Yeah, but you can.
So basically, it's like his private theater where
yeah, pretty
you know,
much. So they do
you come to see
screen.
his film.
They do screen your releases.
Yeah.
But they're also screening all of Ghai's films.
Well, I wonder if any like I feel like there's so much in a name as well, right? I wonder if anybody say, okay, I'm going to Mukta Arts today to watch something.
No, so
Mukta
it's still called New Excelsior.
Ah,
They haven't
okay.
changed the name.
right
But it's owned by
by God.
them and run
Right.
by them. Yeah. Yeah, I certainly hope they just don't start going towards the sort of latter period of Mukta Arts, which had some turkeys, but like you wouldn't mind seeing Ram Lakhan or I don't know Khallaya.
Well, I definitely
Yeah, I'm not
think
sure I would spend so much money to watch Khalna.
Hey,
But
Khallaya
the
is a
ticket prices
classic.
you
It's
said
a
have
cult
been
classic, okay?
kept more or less the same, right?
I mean, yeah, they're the same.
I mean, that's
as
commendable
any other
because New
cinema.
Excelsior, I think I went there maybe some 10 years ago and it was fairly, not exactly in the plushest state. So it was fairly...
The last
could
film
have,
I watched there was Devdas.
could have done. I watched A Wednesday.
Wow, you guys, I don't think I've seen anything there.
And
in a
I
very long
think,
time.
I saw it in the stalls and it could have done with some renovation. So it's good that they have. And, by keeping the ticket prices the same, I guess a lot of the people who came to New Excelsior can still continue to go there, which is apparently not so much the case with Metro, I think. Like Metro,
is definitely more expensive.
Yeah, more expensive now than what it
and
used
it's great
to be.
because New Empire, which was right next door to New Excelsior, shut down some years ago.
Or maybe it was New Empire that I saw. It's easy to get them confused. They're like right next door. So if you want to know more about these cinemas, we've done posts about all of them. In fact, we most recently did one about Movies and Chill, the festival that's being organized by the Sunset Cinema Club, and tickets for that are on sale right now. They're 499 rupees. As we mentioned, it's this weekend actually, and at the Raspberry Rhinoceros, and tickets are available at Insider, and you can go and vote for which rom-com you want to see on Steppin' Out's Facebook page right now, and then tickets will be available. Tickets are actually already available on nearby.com. So you can check out their Facebook page if you want to watch a movie there. And yeah, that's it for this week's The Scene. We'll be back next week.
For more on what's happening in the city, read thedailypao.com. Also subscribe to our newsletter on the website. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're The Daily Pao. And you can find this podcast on the Indus Vox Media SoundCloud page, as well as iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn. The Paodcast is an IVM production, and if you like our podcast, do try their new show, The Empowering Series, in which life coach Zarina Poonawala walks you through all the steps of being a better boss and a leader at work. All 6 episodes of The Empowering Series are now available, so go find them.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Sorry to say, but there's been a slight delay due to the apocalypse having suddenly begun. As you can see, there's death, destruction, and chaos taking place all around us. But don't you worry, food and drinks will be served shortly, and I would recommend checking out
IVM Podcasts
to get some of your favorite Indian podcasts. We'll keep you going till this whole thing blows over. Thank you.